The harmattan wind whispered through the baobab trees like an ancestor's breath. The sun hovered low over Ouagadougou, casting long shadows across the earth, shadows that danced like spirits of old, watching. Ibrahim Traoré stood silently on the balcony of the presidential palace, overlooking the red earth that had birthed warriors, prophets, and revolutionaries. His military jacket was unbuttoned, his beret in hand. But it was not the weight of cloth or power he carried, it was the weight of generations. Behind him, Adama stepped forward, barefoot, wrapped in a simple indigo robe, prayer beads in hand. "He comes with fire in his eyes," Adama said, voice deep as a calabash drum. "But fire can burn or light a path. You must choose which." Traoré didn't turn. His eyes traced the horizon, where villagers still walked with jugs on their heads, where goats crossed dusty roads, where real life pulsed far from global boardrooms. The motorcade came not like a visitor but like a warning. Black electric SUVs, silent yet arrogant, rolled through the capital escorted by drones instead of sirens. The people watched, some with awe, others with suspicion. Musk had arrived. But not as a friend. No, not this time. He came with proposals draped in promises. Tech, factories, electric jobs. But Traoré had seen enough masks in the colonizers' playbook to know when a smile hides a chain. Inside the palace, Elon stood tall, lean frame in a crisp black suit, silver streaks in his hair, eyes scanning everything like data points. "Mr. President," he said, extending a hand. "The future doesn't wait." Traoré met the hand but not the gaze. "The future," he replied, "also remembers." Their hands met like two continents colliding, one with steel, the other with stone. Elon spoke of gigafactories, of solar grids, of AI-run logistics, and Africa as the next Silicon Valley. Traoré listened, silent, watching the lips move. But his mind walked through the sands of Sankara's speeches, through the betrayals of handshake deals in Accra, through the dry fields of Kaya where children still fetched water on foot. Tech without dignity is still slavery. Progress without sovereignty is just a shinier yoke. "Why Burkina Faso?" Traoré finally asked, voice slow like a blade unsheathing. Elon's smile faltered, then reformed. "Because your country is ready. Resources. Land. Potential. I want to lift you up." Traoré leaned forward, elbows on his knees, eyes now drilling into Elon. "You want to lift us? Or own us?" The room stilled. Even the ceiling fan seemed to hesitate. "Understood. Here's the continuation of the story. No image prompts, just pure Afrocentric storytelling in your chosen style." Elon Musk sat stiffly in the armored SUV, the air-conditioned silence unfamiliar and uneasy as the city faded behind them. Dust kissed the windows as they moved deeper into the heart of Burkina Faso, far from tech parks and conference rooms, into a place where the ground still remembered the drums of resistance. Traoré had said little since they left the palace. Only that Elon would see something. Understand something. Behind them, a single escort vehicle followed, manned by soldiers who carried rifles but walked with discipline born of cause, not conquest. As they entered the village of Cumbri, children ran beside the vehicle barefoot, laughing, eyes wide at the foreign man with the cold eyes. Elders sat beneath neem trees, weaving stories with their hands. And the air smelled of firewood, millet, and freedom. Traoré stepped out first. A boy offered him water from a clay jug and he drank. Musk hesitated. The water was unfiltered, untested, real. Traoré noticed. "Thirst is not measured by luxury," he said. "Here we drink from the land, not the lab." A woman approached them, wrinkled, regal, wrapped in patterned cloth and presents. Maman Geneba. She didn't greet Elon by name. She greeted his soul. "You seek to plant a tree where you have not tasted the fruit of the forest," she said. Her voice was smoke and stone. Elon offered a polite smile, but confusion flickered in his eyes. Traoré translated, but softly like scripture. "She means you offer promises without understanding what was stolen." Elon cleared his throat, speaking of jobs, innovation, infrastructure. But the words fell flat here. The children had heard promises before, from governments, from missionaries, from men in suits whose shadows faded after the cameras left. Maman Geneba looked up at Traoré. "He does not hear with his heart." Traoré turned to Elon. "Walk with me." They passed homes built from earth, not concrete. Fields where cassava sprouted defiantly through dry soil. They paused by a well where women sang while lifting water. One handed Elon a cup. He took it this time, drank cautiously. It was warm, imperfect, real. "Do you see progress?" Traoré asked, "as what you bring or what already lives here?" Elon didn't answer immediately. His usual certainty wavered. Traoré continued. You speak of factories. But factories need control. They need laws bent, land acquired, decisions centralized. And who will own the sun you harness? Who will own the roads your trucks travel? Will we drive them or serve them? They stood now near a baobab tree, older than the borders drawn on maps by Europeans. Its roots gripped the earth like memory. My people, Traoré said, voice lower now, they do not need saving. They need respect. You don't build Africa by making her kneel to investors. Elon exhaled, for once not in control of the room, or the land. What if I offer partnership? He asked. Not ownership. Shared gain. Traoré nodded slowly. Then why not begin by listening? Before the contract, sit in the dust. Eat with the people. Learn their names. Sleep without power for one night. Can you? Silence. Above them the wind picked up. Dust swirled again. Somewhere in the village a drumbeat began, low, steady, ancestral. Night fell like a curtain drawn by the ancestors themselves. The village glowed only with firelight. Elon had not returned to the city. Traoré made him stay. No guards. No entourage. Just a mattress on a woven mat in a mud brick room. He lay there restless. Every creak, every insect's buzz was foreign. He reached for his phone, no signal. No control. Outside, Traoré sat with Adama and Maman Geneba. They spoke in low tones. He is a man of machines, Adama said. But machines cannot measure spirit. He is not evil, said the elder woman. But he is unrooted. He comes with wind, not roots. Traoré nodded, the flames dancing in his eyes. Tomorrow we send him home. And so it was. By morning Elon emerged, eyes red from poor sleep. He was offered breakfast, millet porridge and roasted plantain. He ate it humbly, no forks, just fingers. As the convoy returned to the palace, Elon was quieter. Less shiny. In the final meeting, Traoré did not raise his voice. He did not threaten. He simply said, Burkina Faso is not for sale. Not for partnership on paper. Not for extraction in disguise. If you wish to build with us, you must come not as a kingmaker but as a learner. Elon for once had no comeback. His team packed. The drones departed. The SUVs rolled away. And Traoré stood once more on that balcony, the harmattan wind lifting the corner of his coat. Below the people walked freely. Above the baobab stood tall. Africa had spoken, not with bullets or applause but with dignity. It took less than 24 hours. Headlines flared like fire in dry grass. Burkina Faso rejects innovation. Musk forced to withdraw. Traoré turns down Tesla, chooses isolation. Another African strongman misses historic opportunity. The Western media did what it always did, painted resistance as ignorance, dignity as defiance, and sovereignty as a threat. CNN rolled out analysts in glasses and gray suits who had never set foot in Africa, speaking on behalf of millions they could not name. Economists warned investors to pull back. Tech blogs mocked the missed opportunity. Political commentators hinted at instability. Threats crept in like termites under a locked door. But Traoré did not flinch. He sat in a modest office, surrounded not by gold, but by soil samples, hand-drawn maps, and a stack of local letters from students, farmers, and griots. Some were written on torn notebooks. Others carried drawings of him as a lion, a tree, a flame. Outside the youth moved. Graffiti appeared across Ouagadougou. We are not silicon slaves. Africa is not a testing lab. Our land. Our rules. University students marched, not in protest but in pride. Videos flooded TikTok and X, showing side-by-side footage of Elon's silent ride-out and Traoré's firelight address to villagers. Hashtags trended, hashtag Africa is awake, hashtag Traoré the wall, hashtag not your market. In Senegal, a poet released a spoken-word piece titled, Refused in the Dust, and it went viral within hours. In Kenya, youth rallied in support. In Nigeria, even the skeptical paused. Something ancient had stirred. 3 days after Elon's departure, a sealed diplomatic letter arrived. From China. Written not in pompous tones but with precision. They offered an alternative. A cooperative energy initiative with joint African control. No military strings. No intellectual property theft. Just access, tools, and shared leadership. Traoré summoned his economic council. But before any vote, he called for a village assembly, not just ministers but farmers, teachers, students, market women. It was held beneath the open sky, with speakers shaped like calabashes and a stage made of woven straw. He spoke plainly. No deal is worth our soul. No machine can replace our right to choose. If this is truly partnership, we will test it not in gold but in time. The people nodded, sang, danced. The decision would be slow, deliberate, African. The backlash arrived not through bombs but banks. Loans suspended. Aid delayed. International agencies suddenly questioned Burkina Faso's Human Rights Index. NGOs began quietly pulling out. And yet, Burkina Faso did not crumble. Instead, young coders in Bobo Dioulasso began building local apps for solar grids. Women's cooperatives formed battery recycling programs using indigenous knowledge and clay systems. Engineers found ways to modify motorcycles to run on vegetable oil. Burkina Faso, denied Tesla, began building its own stars. When asked by a foreign journalist if he regretted the rejection, Traoré's reply was a whisper that roared across the continent. They came with batteries. We already had lightning. A year later, a new convoy arrived, not of electric SUVs, but of solar-charged motorcycles built by Burkinabe students. They parked outside the palace, silent and confident. Traoré walked down to meet them, not as a ruler but as a brother. The leader of the youth team handed him a helmet carved with ancestral symbols. We call it Yuriba, he said. The great tree. Because it gives shade and power. Traoré smiled. No empire can outshine a rooted people, he said. Let them watch. We're not just building Africa. We are becoming her. And with that, he rode the bike through the red earth, dust rising behind him like a spirit reborn. It began with whispers in Accra and Addis. Then came the movement in Lagos, in Kigali, in Kinshasa. One by one, African leaders, some reluctant, some inspired, began referencing Traoré in their speeches. Not as a politician but as a symbol. A fire lit in the dark. A son of the soil who did not bow to the storm. At the African Union Summit the following year, something unprecedented happened. A resolution was drafted, not by diplomats, but by a coalition of African youth delegates. It proposed the Pan-African Tech and Sovereignty Accord, a continental framework for partnerships, not colonization. It required full local ownership of natural resources used in foreign projects, transparent contracts, reviewed by independent Pan-African bodies, cultural preservation clauses to prevent the erasure of traditions under the guise of development. Youth oversight councils, built from students, farmers, coders, griots and healers. They called it the Traoré Doctrine. It passed. Not unanimously. Some governments pushed back, fearful of economic retaliation. But the wave was too strong, too organic. Backed not by guns but by people with drums and dreams. Elon Musk watched from a high-rise in Palo Alto. Another African deal had just been declined. This time by Ethiopia. Then Ghana. Then Tanzania. His advisors asked, should we shift strategy? Rebrand? But Musk, older now, stared at a grainy clip of Traoré riding the Yuriba solar motorcycle through red dust. He didn't answer. Because deep down he knew. The age of conquest had ended. The age of communion had begun. And he had missed the pivot. Back in Ouagadougou, Traoré knelt by the same baobab where he once spoke to Elon. The roots were deeper now. Stronger. The village children, now teenagers, ran power grids on solar watches they built themselves. Maman Geneba had passed. But her spirit still whispered through wind and well water. Adama walked beside him, holding a carved staff given by a Mali elder. What now? He asked. Traoré didn't speak. He pointed to the horizon. There in the distance stood a new school. Made of stone, solar panels and stories. Named, the Ancestral Institute of Innovation. Classes were taught in French, English, Mossi, Fulani and Code. Traoré turned to Adama and finally spoke. Now we raise the architects of our future. This time with their feet in the earth, and their eyes on the sun. And as the sun dipped low, the drums began again. Not of war, not of protest, but of becoming. Africa was not rising. She had risen. And this time she would not kneel.